From Mattel, WWE Elite, this is the Walmart exclusive Monday Night War WCW Scott Hall. I gotta say, right, when they first announced this new subline for Walmart, I wasn't all that interested. I saw The Undertaker, don't need him. I saw the Hogan, don't need him. I saw the Stone Cold, he looked fine, but he looked a little too similar to the Monday Night War one. I got him now, but the only one I saw that just blew me away, aside from when they announced the Ultimate Edition Bret Hart, was when they were going to do this Scott Hall. This is the Scott Hall, his debut appearance when he walked out of the crowd wearing this, Canadian tuxedo of his, and basically ushered in the New World Order. So, literally in one wave, I got a new Scott Hall, I got a new Bret Hart, they just announced a new Mr. Perfect. What very well might be my 3 favorite wrestlers of all time, looks I have been waiting for years, are finally getting made, and it is great. So, we have here debut appearance Scott Hall, Razor Ramon if you're a WWF fan. Here on the box, it looks fine. I kind of like how these Monday Night Wars boxes came out. Here on the back, you got him basically doing the promo. You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. The words of the toothpick-flicking outsider now echo through history as they ushered in a faction that forever changed the landscape of WCW, the New World Order. His career highlights: Intercontinental Champion, WCW Tag Team Champion, WWE Hall of Fame inductee. He was also the US Champ. But then again, we might not be mentioning that one because he did throw that belt into the trash. And like I said, don't need the Hogan, don't need the Taker, got the Stone Cold, he looks cool, and I don't need the Luger. So, the only one I've been excited for aside from the Bret this whole time is Scott. Stone Cold also looks really good, we're going to look at him next, but for right now, let's actually look at the big man Scott Hall. Getting this guy out of the box, I gotta say, there's a few things here that are bugging me. This isn't the slam dunk I was hoping it would be, and I kind of knew it wouldn't be after seeing it in the box, but even still, there is stuff to like here. Let's look at the total package. That is to say, look at this full figure, not the total package, because it's not Lex Luger. You know what? Forget it. Scott Hall. At first glance, Scott looks great. The head sculpt is fine. This is one of the better head sculpts that I've seen for Scott Hall recently. I don't know what it is. The head sculpts for Scott used to be really good, but ever since the Ultimate Edition, when they updated the face scans, it's been kind of hit or miss with him. And we're going to talk about hit or miss when we look at the alternate head. But this one that he has out of the box, the smiling one, I like it. I think it's fine. I like the eyebrow raised. It is such a little smartass looking Scott. It is perfect. Let me get a better light on it. See what I mean? He has the eyebrow raised up. He has his little smirk. He still has the spit curl. Perfect. You look at the torso. He definitely still has his hair. It's not as hairy as some of the other Scott Halls we got, but they got it. And then you have great articulation throughout. It's when you look at this vest. Like, you see the jeans down here, and they look so good, man. They did a white wash, made them look really worn and cool. But then the vest, it's just that flat blue. I kind of wish the same paint job was done on the vest, because the vest looked just like his pants on that in his segment. So that's kind of a missed opportunity, and it's right there on the big front of it, so vest doesn't look great. But meanwhile, the boots look fine. In terms of articulation, you got a ball joint at the head, you got a universal at the shoulder, you have an upper arm rotation, you have a double jointed elbow, universal at the wrist, good ab crunch, waist swivel, universal at the hip, upper leg cut, double jointed knee, and boot cut, and ankle swivel, or rather ankle pivot. So, his articulation works. He looks fine. And if you do want him without the vest, here we go. His hair does kind of get in the way. And that, in fact, here, it's going to be easier just to take the head off. It's going to be easier just to take the head off. The vest does fight you. It fights you all the way down. It never feels like it's going to rip, though I'm sure it could if you weren't being careful. But it definitely does not want to go as easily as it could. And then if you want there, you can have like Street Fight Scott Hall. Oh my god, that actually looks kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, there's a part of me that's like, if I see a second one of these for sale, I might just get this, because Jesus Christ, call him daddy. Scott Hall is a good looking guy. I'm thirsting over a toy. God damn it, okay? Shirtless Scott Hall in blue jeans, looks fine, confirmed. We did get a few accessories with this guy. We have a microphone. My big problem here is that is a sculpted WWE logo in the microphone. They didn't paint it, but Come on, guys, just give us a WCW microphone, it's fine. Or just don't put a logo in the microphone. Here's the other Scott Hall head sculpt. It looks terrible. I do not like this at all. And then we have 2 closed fists. That's great for Scott Hall. And technically these are supposed to go to Lex Luger, but I'm never building them up. So you do get open hands that you can use. Again, these are supposed to go to Luger, but hey, you could use them on Scott Hall. Here's an issue I literally just had, and I just realized, right? You look at the 2 Scott Hall head sculpts. Again, this one looks fine. This one, don't like at all. This actually looks more like the Defining Moments Scott. It's way too plasticky. My issue is these heads, I think, are the same heads they're using for the Ultimate Edition Scott Hall that's on ringside right now. The reason I bring that up is they don't have the toothpick. When Scott Hall did this, he had his toothpick still. He had his toothpick until WWE sued WCW. This whole promo he did with the toothpick before he threw it at the camera. So they could have tossed in one of his toothpick head sculpts. I think that would have brought the entire package together for me, was just having the toothpick. But at the same time, WWE is really weird about their marketing with Scott Hall as opposed to Razor Ramon. I don't know if you guys have never noticed, they've never given a Scott Hall action figure a toothpick, and they are very, very, very keen to point out when it's Scott Hall as opposed to Razor Ramon. It's weird to me that WWE, they don't do this with Kevin Nash. They don't do it with Kevin Nash. Like, they'll just be like, yeah, you know, Kevin Nash was Diesel. But if it's Razor Ramon, it's almost like they just don't want to acknowledge that Scott Hall was Razor when it comes to the toys. It's very weird to me. And it might just be because when you get down to it, Razor was a way cooler character than Diesel. By the way, just for anyone who doesn't believe me about the toothpick thing, right there, corner of the mouth, it's on the back of the box. He had the toothpick. And also, you can see what I was talking about with the vest, how it should have been more washed out. But that's enough of my complaining. Look, you all know the reality here. This is one of the most unique figures ever made for one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Scott Hall is on my personal Mount Rushmore, right up there with Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. I have to say, this figure is great. Would I say he is a must-have? No, not unless you're a huge fan of the NWO, or Scott Hall, or WCW. If you're a big fan of those 3 things, absolutely, because this is one of the biggest moments in WCW history, one of the biggest moments in wrestling history, probably the defining moment of Scott Hall's career. Him coming into the crowd and announcing that he was going to be taking over and ushering in the NWO. Massive, massive, massive moment. However, if this was a case where like you just wanted one version of a character, this is not the definitive Scott Hall, it's not the definitive Razor Ramon, it's not the definitive NWO figure. But what it is unique, it's great, and I'll be honest, kind of like that Bret, even with some of the issues here, this might be in contention for my favorite wrestling figure of the year so far. We'll have to see if it can maintain that as we get into December. But at the end of the day, I just love having yet another version of the good guy.